Now let's talk about a tour which connects poise in a recommended route with a story. About half of the visitors usually like to take a recommended tour that will introduce the destination as if they worked with a live guide. Thus we will pay special attention to designing such an experience on a self-guided tour. Unlike poi cover photo, the tour cover photo does not need to depict a specific poi, as these can be seen in the list of pois that belong to the tour. You can rather use the photo to help the visitor understand what the tour is about. So for example of a foodie tour, you can use a photo of a local dish or photo of kids playing for a family tour. Tour name should be short, attractive, and descriptive. It helps visitors choose the right tour. Tour names can be, for instance, Vienna highlights in one day, along the Berlin Wall, night market foodie tour, Harry Potter shooting locations, or Barcelona with kids. You can skip the destination name in the tour name if it is clear from the context. So instead of Prague Jewish Quarter, just use Jewish Quarter. Please optimize the tour name in the context of the entire destination and other tour names. The tour introduction serves as a captivating preview, designed to entice potential visitors. At this stage, the visitor is typically in the process of selecting the most appealing option and has not yet committed to or embarked on the tour itself. It should provide visitors with information on what they will see during the tour, along with practical tips. Is the route steep? Is it accessible for a stroller? Are there some food or drink options on the tour? Besides the tour introduction that is an integral part of all the tours, sometimes it is useful to have the first stop on the tour itself as an introduction. This can be used, for example, when you want to introduce yourself as a tour guide. The difference from the tour intro section is that the visitor has already decided for this particular tour and has already physically started it. Keep in mind that it is not necessary or often not even appropriate to use the first introductory place of the tour. But often a tour guides give an extended introduction to visitors once they arrive, so this is the opportunity to do so. If you decide to include introduction of the first poi, please don't repeat the same information that is already in the tour introduction to avoid duplication. The tour length and number of pois are calculated automatically. Please adjust manually the duration manually to reflect how quickly visitors typically progress throughout the tour, factoring in time they typically spend at tour pois. Here we also indicate whether it is a walking, biking, by bus or train, driving, running, boating, or an indoor tour type. Tours typically have about 20 tour pois, but you could go as low as 3 and as high as 50. Think of each tour poi as a place where a live guide would typically stop and tell visitors something interesting. You can create a basic tour simply connecting the pois in a destination with a route and keep exactly the same narrative on the pois. But to make great tours, SmartGuide allows you to adjust the tour poi narrative. Firstly, you can add tour pois that are not in a destination. It corresponds to a place where a guide would tell you something interesting on a tour, even though it may be a poi on its own. For example, on a tour leading steep uphill to a castle, a tour guide can make a short break in the middle, let visitors sit on a bench to relax and tell them a legend about the castle's origin. This can be a tour poi. Second, you can overwrite the narrative of poi added to tour to create tours that follow a story or a theme. So you can have a generic narrative of National Theatre on the destination level for a mainstream visitor, but include a different story about National Theatre on a November 17, 1989 tour and different narrative and perhaps even photo on an architectural tour. Third, best tours include navigation along the recommended route to make it easy for visitors to simply put on headphones and walk around like with a live guide, without referring to the tour map too often. You can add a navigation suffix which plays after the poi narrative is finished and tells the visitor where to go next. It can be something like, "We will now continue through the street for another 100 meters to St. Vitus Church, which will be our next stop." If perfection is what you want, the SmartGuide Content team can also help you set up navigation points that are not regular pois, but just complimentary information along the way or direction instruction. An example can be an instruction for the visitor to turn left that plays when they reach the end of the road, or something like take the small path going up the hill or look at the view on your left side while passing the bridge. You will see the castle where our tour ends. Use the length of the text and the size of the trigger zones to pace the tour. Keep in mind that if a visitor arrives at the next place while the previous story is still playing, they will get a notification and can switch, but the playback will not stop. There should always be a mainstream overall introduction tour for a typical first-time visitor that takes them around all the must-see points and gives them a good overview of the destination. Start the tour where most visitors would usually start. That can be an entrance to an attraction, a railway station, main parking lot, etc. In many cases, visitors need to return back to the same place where they started, so many good tours are circular. The advantage of a circular tour in large destinations without any clear entrance point is that visitors can join the tour from any point and finish the circle. At the end of the tour, it's nice if you say goodbye and tell the visitor where they can go next. SmartGuide will also navigate them back to the main destination screen, where they can discover other tours and POIs, in-app top sites. To engage most visitors, you can also easily design tours for different audiences, for example, a different tour for children and adults, an accessible tour, or a detailed tour for history geeks. You can even easily create short-term tours dedicated to some events and festivals, such as Semana Santa, Light Festival, or Christmas markets. SmartGuide allows you to add different narrative for the same POIs on different tours, so you can tailor your stories to the audience. Just keep in mind that if you make more tours, it's important to name them intuitively so visitors can quickly decide what is the right tour for them. While they decide, they can read or listen to the tour introduction, easily preview the places in the tour, or view the tour map for more context. Most SmartGuide tours are outdoors and rely on GPS navigation. As GPS does not work well indoor tours omit the tour map and route. Instead, the users can open respective POIs by QR code, NFC tag, Bluetooth beacon, or simply by searching. Our team can advise you on the best options for your specific context. When designing a self-guided tour, it is best to record a live tour with your best tour guide and do exactly the same in SmartGuide. Tour guides usually stop at some points of interest and talk about them for a while. These are the points of interest on the tour. This results in much better tours than writing them from the office. It will also help you get the timing of the tour right so you don't spend too much time talking at one place. So far, we talked about fully self-guided tours. But some tours still require a live guide for safety or to protect the exhibits. Attractions then use a live guide in one language and add foreign-speaking visitors on the tour with audio pre-recorded in their own language. That increases the number of languages you can offer on a tour and increases utilization of your groups and thus revenue. SmartGuide Content team made many tours so they can help you with any aspect of the tour creation, especially the tour route and optimized trigger zones that can be tricky for a novice.